Unexpected blind date. When a hidden billionaire reveals true love in 3 life-changing hours. In the heart of Maplewood, under the flickering neon lights of the local diner, Sarah Mitchell took a breath, heart pounding. Tonight was supposed to be just another night. Yet, here she was, reluctantly on a blind date arranged by her best friend. Sarah, a devoted single mother and hardworking florist, had little time for romance, least of all with a man named Ryan, a self-proclaimed wealthy philanthropist. What did he know about struggle? What did love even mean for someone like her? She held her breath, bracing for disappointment. As she entered the diner, the smell of fresh coffee and baked pie filled the air, mixing with the laughter of families gathered around tables. Then she saw him. Ryan was casually handsome, his warm smile inviting. They chatted easily, a spark igniting in their shared love for small-town simplicity. He spoke of beekeeping and sustainable farming, and for a moment Sarah felt like they were on the same page. Their connection grew light and easy, until the conversation took a sharp turn. When Ryan, illustrating his points with personal anecdotes from his affluent life, suggested that hard work alone didn't always equate to success, Sarah felt her stomach twist. "You just don't get it," she replied, her voice rising. "Some of us work day and night just to keep a roof over our heads." The diner felt smaller, the laughter fading into an uncomfortable silence. Before they could unravel the tension, dark clouds rolled in, thick and oppressive, matching Sarah's growing unease. Then the sky opened. Rain poured, flooding streets and engulfing homes in a matter of minutes. Panic surged through her as she thought of Lily. "I have to go," she exclaimed, rising from the booth, but Ryan wasn't ready to let her leave. He grabbed her arm gently, urgency flashing in his eyes. "No, we can help. There are families that need us." They rushed outside together, the chaos settling around them, screams, shouts, and the deafening roar of the storm. In that crisis, Ryan revealed a side Sarah never anticipated. He organized a group of locals, directing them calmly to safety, mobilizing resources with a fierceness that stunned her. He ran to grab sandbags, directing traffic, clapping people on the back, urging them to safety and somehow lifting spirits. Sarah watched, astonished. This wealthy man was a man of action, a leader. She felt torn, her heart racing at the marvel of his character and the reality of her own life. Could someone like Ryan bridge the enormous gap between their worlds? The storm raged outside, but here within the community, hope flickered through the chaos. Sarah's emotions churned, a storm of uncertainty thrashing within her. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As they managed to rescue families and distribute supplies, Sarah felt that flicker inside her grow. Ryan's laughter mingled with the cheers of her neighbors, hope radiating through the air. But doubt weighed on her. Could she allow herself to love a man with privilege while she fought to keep her daughter safe and nurture their community? As lightning flashed, illuminating the town's struggle against nature, Sarah realized this storm was a turning point. Would she risk her heart, stepping beyond the walls she'd built to protect her and Lily? The answer danced just out of reach, leaving her breathless, caught in a moment that tasted like new beginnings. Would she stand by her heart or cling to the safety of her realities? The rain continued to pour mercilessly as Sarah and Ryan worked alongside their neighbors. Each drenched face reflected determination, a collective will to persevere. Yet, as Ryan lifted another sandbag, Sarah couldn't help but gaze at him with mixed emotions. His heart seemed so big, so capable of kindness, while her own felt encased in shadows of insecurity and doubt. "Sarah," one of the neighbors called, pointing toward a home that was beginning to flood. "We need help over there." The urgency surged again, a reminder of the chaos surrounding them. They sprinted together toward the house, slipping through puddles, determination fueling each step. "Do you ever wonder," Ryan shouted over the roar of the storm, "how we can make a real difference here beyond tonight?" His eyes sparkled, alive with the fire of hope. "Every day," Sarah replied, breathless. "But how do we make enough change when all I can think about is keeping my daughter safe?" Panic threatened to rise again, clawing at her resolve. Could she really take a chance on Ryan on a new beginning? Their hands worked fast, passing supplies and comfort to families who were already frightened and cold. Sarah glanced at Ryan, who was now helping a small child hold a flashlight as they all huddled in a corner of a dry porch. He was fearless, and somehow that made her both envious and hopeful. Suddenly, in the midst of the rescue efforts, Ryan turned to Sarah, his brows knitted in concern. "Hey, are you all right? You seem distant." His voice was soft, grounding against the storm raging around them. "I'm just thinking." Her words trailed off as she searched his gaze. She could see the genuine care in his eyes and the way he seemed to embody an unwavering light. "Thinking about how different our worlds are. How does someone like you even relate to people like us?" He sighed, running a hand through his drenched hair. "You know, money and privilege can't replace the feeling of helping others. I want to help here with you. Sure, I grew up in a different environment, but I learned that love and compassion don't see status. It's how we treat each other that matters." Sarah's heart raced. There was a thread binding them, pulling her closer to a choice she never thought she'd consider. Could love really bridge the chasm between their lives? Just as she opened her mouth to respond, a commotion erupted from the edge of the street. A frantic woman was shouting for help, pointing toward her home. The water was rising fast. Panic spread like wildfire. "Ryan!" Sarah cried, urgency clawing at her throat. "We have to help her." They took off, adrenaline flooding their veins as the two of them raced toward the scene. The woman was clinging to a tree, her face pale with fear. Ryan plunged into the water, pulling her toward safety. Sarah watched, her heart pounding, amazed by his courage. But as they reached her, another wave hit, knocking Ryan off balance. He struggled against the current, and Sarah felt her breath catch. The very thought of losing him tugged at something deep within her. "Ryan!" she screamed, desperate. He fought to stay upright, determination etched across his face. Finally, with the woman held safely in his arms, they made their way back to shore. Success! The crowd erupted in cheers, but Sarah's heart was still racing, her mind now a whirlwind of confused feelings as the storm began to subside. Leaving in its wake a fragile calm, Ryan turned to Sarah, water dripping from his brow. "I may have wealth," he said, breathless but sincere, "but knowing I can help others is greater than anything I've ever held. And witnessing strength like yours tonight makes me want to fight alongside you." A warmth spread through Sarah, an unbidden smile creeping onto her lips. But deep inside, a storm of conflicts remained. She longed for closeness while fearing vulnerability. Ryan reached for her hand, his steady gaze searching hers. "What do we do now?" In that fleeting moment between possibility and uncertainty, Sarah realized she stood at the edge of a precipice. Would she take a step forward into the unknown or retreat into her safety net? And as the remnants of the storm faded, a new question echoed in her heart. Was this the beginning of something beautiful, or a calamity that would tear them apart? Sarah stood there, her heart racing as she looked into Ryan's eyes. The way he held her hand felt familiar yet new. A warmth sparking hope but also igniting an inner battle raging within her. What was she really feeling? Could she open up to him, allow herself to be vulnerable? The crowd around them had started to disperse, more families gathering their things, moving to dry ground. The rain had lessened, only a drizzle lingering in the air now, but the lingering tension between them felt heavier than any storm. "Do you want to get out of here?" Ryan asked, glancing around as if assessing the situation. His gaze landed back on her, steady and filled with determination. "Yeah, I think that would be a good idea," she replied, her voice soft. As they moved away from the chaos, Sarah couldn't help but glance over her shoulder. The relief on the families' faces reminded her of the importance of community, of unity in the face of a disaster. But it also reminded her of the fractures in her own heart, the walls she had built to protect herself and her daughter. "Let's South go to my place," Ryan suggested suddenly. "I have some dry clothes and food. It feels like a long time since we've had a minute to breathe." Sarah hesitated, the suggestion pulling her between temptation and caution. But the thought of sharing a moment with this kind-hearted man fueled her spirit. "Okay," she said, forcing herself to loosen the tightness in her chest. They walked in silence for a few minutes, the world around them damp but also alive. The streets glistened with puddles as the last hints of daylight filtered through the clouds. Ryan turned to her, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly. You know, you really impressed me tonight. The way you jumped in there, helping everyone like that, there's strength in you. I admire that. Her cheeks flushed at his praise, warmth spreading through her. Thank you, but I didn't do it alone. We all pulled together. But as they arrived at his building, a sleek modern structure that contrasted the chaos of the world outside, she felt a swell of pride. He was someone who could easily walk away from it all, yet chose to fight for those in need. Inside, the air was warm, a sharp contrast to the chill of the storm. Ryan ushered her into the living room, which was tastefully decorated yet minimal. I'll grab those clothes, he said, disappearing into another room. Alone for a moment, Sarah took a deep breath. This was new territory. Was she really allowing herself to trust? Just as she was contemplating her feelings, Ryan returned with a set of fresh clothes, a soft t-shirt and sweatpants. Here, put these on. I'll make you some tea. Thanks, Ryan, she said, taking the clothes from him. The gratitude in her heart was real, more than just for the clothes. He wasn't some distant billionaire, but a genuine person willing to connect. As she changed in the bathroom, she couldn't shake the feeling that something significant shifted in her. The deeper she breathed, the more she could sense the tangled threads of longing and fear. Would she allow this potential bond to flourish, or would she continue to shield herself? When she re-emerged, Ryan was waiting with steaming cups of tea. Their eyes locked, and in that moment time felt suspended. The storm outside was on the verge of completely retreating, but here, a new tempest brewed silently between them. Sarah, I want to be honest with you about something. Ryan began, a serious note threading through his voice. What is it? She asked, her heart thudding, both anxious and excited. He took a deep breath, and just like that, the room seemed to thrum with possibility. There's something important I need you to know about my life. The moment hung in the air, heavy with the weight of promises and secrets. What could Ryan possibly be revealing? And in that moment, Sarah felt the thrill of the unknown rush through her veins, merging fear with an irresistible and undeniable hope. Ryan's eyes held a mixture of fear and determination. His hands trembled slightly around the cup, steam curling upwards, blurring the edges of their shared reality. I haven't always been who you think I am, he finally said. His voice steady despite the tension. Sarah's pulse quickened. She searched his gaze for clues, something that might hint at what lay beneath the surface. What do you mean? He edged closer, lowering his voice, as if the walls themselves might eavesdrop. Most people know me as Ryan, the charitable guy who helps in the community. But there's more. A lot more. She furrowed her brow, absorbing his words. Okay, my family has money, he said abruptly, almost as if to relieve the pressure of an unwelcome truth. But it's not just about wealth. I took it on myself to make a difference, but I've also felt lost in my role. The pieces started to fit together, transforming into a picture she didn't know she needed to see. So I'm a billionaire, he admitted, his voice falling into a whisper. But I promise that's not who I am. My family wants me to take over the company, but I want to create real change. I want to connect with people, to understand lives, not just numbers. Sarah held her breath. The revelation stung a little, yet it came wrapped in something more: vulnerability. You could have anyone, she said quietly, the words slipping out before she could stop them. Ryan shook his head, a gentle smile tugging at his lips. That's not true. What I want is a connection. And I feel something real with you, more genuine than I've felt in a long time. Her heart quivered in response. She hadn't imagined this evening would lead her down this path. There was a part of her that felt the thrill of adventure, the other part still gripped by caution. But does that mean you've been lying to me? No. His voice was passionate, filled with sincerity. I've tried to be transparent. This was the first chance I had to share this side of my life. I hate hiding. I wanted you to know me, not just my name or my bank account. Sarah placed her teacup down, biting her lip as emotions twisted inside her. Was he genuinely exposing his truth? Or was it a facade hiding something more complicated? I need to know why you chose to tell me all this now. He leaned forward, his eyes locking onto hers, drawing her in. Because I think you're worth it. You've faced challenges and you've shown strength. I admire that. I want to earn your trust. His words wrapped around her like a comforting embrace, both exhilarating and frightening. She considered his confession, the barrier she'd built to protect herself, trembling at the foundation. What did this mean for them? Could she allow him into her life, even knowing who he truly was? Just then, a flash of lightning illuminated the room, casting shadows of uncertainty and potential all at once. The storm had passed outside, but the tempest inside her heart roared louder than ever. What if I end up being just like the others? Sarah finally whispered. You want tea? Ryan promised, his voice firm. I just need a chance to show you. She could feel the weight of the world pressing down all around them, but it was also the weight of possibility, a choice that lay before her. Could she trust him? Could she trust herself? As the silence hung thick in the air, she pondered what true connection would mean for both of them. Could they forge a new path together, despite the shadows of deception? And in that moment, another question emerged, pulling at her heartstrings. What if trusting you means risking everything? Ryan held her gaze, the gravity of the moment wrapping around them like the lingering night air. The storm had passed, but their journey was just beginning, filled with unexpected turns and choices that could change everything. Would she leap into the unknown with him? Ryan's voice lingered in the air, each word a promise waiting to unfold. Sarah's heart raced, a cocktail of anticipation and apprehension coursing through her veins. The truth felt heavy, both exhilarating and terrifying. She could sense the weight of what he shared crashing against her own fears of inadequacy and past betrayals. What if you're just like every other guy? She said, her eyes not leaving his. What if, behind this charm, you're just playing a part? He shook his head, determination etched in his features. I'm not here to play games. Everything I've done, what I'm trying to do, is meaningful to me. I really want to break through to something real. Real, she echoed, tasting the word, rolling it around like a new flavor. It was a dangerous thing to want. Life had shown her that reality could often be a cruel teacher. The silence dripped heavily between them, thick with unspoken doubts and lingering hopes. The room felt smaller, the glow from the kitchen light flickering overhead like the pulse of their emotions. Outside, the last remnants of the storm whispered against the windows. With a sudden rush, she stood, pacing the small space. I have to readjust my whole understanding of who you are. This isn't just a small reveal, Ryan. This changes everything. It doesn't have to, he urged softly, following her movement, his eyes searching. You don't have to redefine me. I'm still the same person. A guy who messed up along the way but genuinely wants to connect. But wasn't the connection built on honesty? She stopped, leaning against the counter. The warmth of her body brushed against the cool granite, grounding her in the moment. Right. But one piece of you feels like it's hiding a million more. What happens when the truth comes out? Will you hide again? Ryan took a step closer, his scent a mix of fresh linen and something uniquely him. I want tea. Promise. You deserve my truth, every bit of it. Maybe I've been hiding from the realities of my life too. The family pressure, expectations, it's suffocating. His admission washed over her like rain cleansing a parched earth. And what do you want then? She pressed, the tension sharpening her senses. To leave it all behind? To start over? He paused, the flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. I want to create my own path. Maybe even bring others along for the ride like you. A smile slipped through the cracks of her resolve, tentative but bright. So you think you can change the world one connection at a time? Why not? He shot back, confidence rising in his tone. If we believe in it and work for it, can you imagine what we could create together? Together. The idea sent chills down her spine. She had never been one to share dreams, much less with someone who wore a fortune like a cloak. She felt their worlds colliding, uniquely intertwined but teetering on the edge. And how can I trust you to keep your promise? By showing you, Ryan said, determination rekindled in his voice. Let me take you on this journey. No masks, just us. I know it's a risk, but what is life without a little risk? Her heart thumped furiously. Could she let this billionaire into her heart, giving him a chance to show her who he really was? Was she ready to step into the unknown? In that instant, uncertainty wrapped around her like a soft blanket, but desire poked holes in it. Maybe this could be a leap worth taking. Okay, she finally breathed, hope flickering like the starlight beginning to peek through the clouds. Ryan's smile was a mixture of relief and excitement. You won't regret it. But then an unexpected thought crept in, distracting her momentarily. What if this was all a distraction from something darker looming in his life? Wait, she suddenly said, pulling back, her brows furrowing. What about your family? What if they come looking for you? What if they try to pull you back? His expression hardened, a flicker in his eyes suggesting that the real challenge was only just beginning. Then we faced them together. As the weight of his words settled, Sarah felt a spark of something new ignite within her. Emotions danced wildly: fear, excitement, curiosity. Would she follow him into that beautiful chaos? Or would the shadows of his past prove to be too strong? What if trusting him meant not just risking her heart, but plunging into the churning waters of his true family legacy? The air between them was charged, the moment fraught with uncertainty and fierce possibility. Sarah's mind raced as the implications of Ryan's declaration settled in. Could she truly accompany him on this journey? His intensity ignited something fierce within her, but doubt lingered, wrapping tightly around her heart like a stubborn vine. Together, she whispered, testing the word as if it were a precious stone. The idea of tackling the unknown alongside him felt exhilarating, yet terrifying. What exactly lay ahead? Parts of her life had felt so mundane, so predictable. Could Ryan's chaotic world really hold something brighter? Yeah, he answered softly, taking another step forward, his sincerity palpable. We don't have to figure it all out right now. Just know that I intend to show you every side of me, even the parts 1v hidden for so long. He extended his hand, something so simple yet so profound. She glanced at his outstretched palm, then back at his eyes, which held a storm of emotions: hope, fear, and a glimmer of excitement. Taking a deep breath, she reached out and placed her hand in his, the warmth sending a jolt through her entirely. As if sensing her hesitation, he continued, I want to take you to dinner. Somewhere I usually wouldn't choose but feels right. I can't promise it'll be smooth, but I promise it'll be real. Sarah felt the pulse of adventure running through her veins. Dinner? The word tasted sweet on her tongue, mingling with both thrill and caution. What if I end up being the center of a family showdown? He chuckled lightly, easing some of the tension. Well, we may as well make it entertaining, right? But seriously, if they come after me, he hesitated, his expression shifting. I'll protect you. Protect her? She shivered at the thought. But beneath the worry was an ember of yearning. What did it mean for someone like him to want to protect someone like her? Each moment with him pulled at her, daring her to leap into this unfolding narrative. What about tomorrow? Sarah asked, a new thread of panic creeping into her thoughts. I mean, what happens when the sun rises? What if things don't go as planned? Ryan's gaze softened, holding her steady. Then we figure it out. Together. I won't run away, and neither should you. There was a thrill in the uncertainty, a promise of something vibrant and raw. She began to see a path illuminated before her, a chance to open herself up to a love that challenged her and pushed against her fears. Yet, beneath that shimmering facade, the specter of his family loomed. If they were to confront it together, what baggage were they both carrying? Okay, she said finally, letting hope begin to weave itself through her doubt. Let us do this. As Ryan pulled her along, she couldn't help but glance back at the remnants of her everyday life, the safety of it all, still standing in her rearview mirror. The thought sent a thrill through her. Maybe this risk was what she needed. They stepped outside into the night, the cool air wrapping around them like a gentle embrace. Stars twinkled overhead, promising adventures yet to be written. Each step felt lighter as they moved away from the shadows of the past. But just as they made their way toward the car, Sarah felt a sudden chill, a notion tightening in her gut. Ryan, what if they're already watching? What if your family knows where you are? Ryan halted, the seriousness of her words crashing against the excitement of the moment. Then we take them by surprise, he replied, determination etched on his face. The match of emotions ignited between them again, as uncertainty spiraled yet another layer of complexity into their fledgling connection. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself for the unpredictability ahead. Could they not only confront the past, but carve a new future amidst impending storms? And would that journey lead them to break away completely, or bind them tighter than they had ever imagined? Sarah's heart raced as she felt the weight of Ryan's intensity shifting once again. The moment hung in the air, thick with unspoken fears and unshed promises. Confronting the reality of Ryan's family stirred a tempest inside her, battling between the thrill of adventure and the dread of confrontation. Surprised, she murmured almost to herself. Ryan's grip on her hand tightened slightly, grounding her in the present. "Trust me, Sarah. We're going to be okay." His voice, soft but unwavering, filled her with a mix of warmth and uncertainty. The night felt electric, each star a beacon of hope echoing the fleeting moments of their lives heading into uncharted territory. As they stepped into the car, the reality of what lay ahead pressed down on Sarah. "You've thought this through, right?" Her voice betrayed a tremor. The thrill was already mingling with anxiety, forming a complicated cocktail in her stomach. "I've got a plan," Ryan said, his confidence reigniting the spark of courage inside her. "Like I said, they might not be expecting us." With a swift motion, he turned the key, and the engine purred to life, but it was his reassuring smile that ignited a flicker of excitement within her. They sped off into the night, the streets flashing by like a blur, the world around them a majestic spinning kaleidoscope of colors. The restaurant loomed ahead, its warm light spilling out onto the sidewalk, enveloping them in a welcoming glow that felt inviting and ominous at the same time. It was an unexpectedly charming place, far from the usual haunts of either of their worlds. The kind of restaurant that promised intimacy, yet could swallow them whole in a heartbeat. "It's different," Sarah commented, her pulse racing with anticipation, swallowing hard as she took in the ambience. "Just like us," Ryan replied, glancing at her with a twinkle of mischief in his eyes. But even through his playful words, Sarah detected the hint of seriousness that lingered. What would different mean for them tonight? Before they entered, Ryan paused. "Hey," he said softly, lifting her chin with his finger so their eyes met. "No matter what happens in there, just remember this is about us. We've got each other." His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket. She drew in a breath, nodding, and stepped past the threshold into the unknown. Inside, familiar faces quickly caught Ryan's attention, his family bustling with energy, laughter echoing through the room like a gust of wind. And there, at the center, was a woman whose presence could only be described as powerful, a matriarch in the truest sense, her gaze sweeping the room with authority. "Ryan!" A voice boomed, slicing through the din. Sarah felt her insides twist as she turned to see the older woman rise up from her seat, scanning the room until her eyes landed on Ryan and Sarah. The world shrank, the noise faded, and all of a sudden, it was just Ryan and her standing there without any protection. The weight of expectation settled heavily on Sarah's shoulders while energy crackled around them. But then Ryan took a bold step forward. "Mom," he said, his voice steady but soft. "I'd like you to meet someone." Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she could feel every eye in the restaurant shift toward them. Uncertainty danced with desperation, the tension almost tangible. "Well, who is this?" the matriarch asked, arching a brow, and in that instant, Sarah knew the stakes were higher than she ever could have imagined. What would they say? How would they react? Would they turn away or embrace her? Before she could second-guess herself, she took a deep breath and stepped forward, determined to be an inseparable part of this moment. And yet, as Ryan's family settled into awkward silence, she could feel the predatory swirl of anticipation around them. What awaited them in this next heartbeat? Acceptance, or the storm of rejection? Would this evening shatter their bond or weave an unbreakable thread into their story? The silence in the restaurant stretched, pulling taut like a bowstring. Sarah could feel the weight of the matriarch's gaze like a spotlight, forcing her to step further into the light. She fought the urge to retreat, reminding herself of Ryan's warm grip, the way he had looked at her moments before they were in this together. "Mom," Ryan began, his voice low and steady, "this is Sarah. She's someone special to me." The word "someone special" hung in the air, reverberating in Sarah's ears. As she met the matriarch's penetrating stare, she noticed a flicker of surprise that quickly morphed into scrutiny. It felt like being assessed, judged, and dissected all at once. "Special?" the woman repeated, lowering her glasses slightly, the challenge evident in her tone. "And what exactly makes you special, Sarah?" The question pierced through Sarah's defenses like an arrow. She opened her mouth, but the words tangled in her throat. Did she even know what special meant in this context? Before she could formulate a response, Ryan stepped in. "She's different, Mom. Different in ways that matter." The matriarch's brow furrowed, her lips pressing into a thin line. Around them, the lively conversations of the other diners became distant whispers, and Sarah could feel the collective breath of curiosity from Ryan's family. She stole a glance at Ryan, who stood firm by her side, comfort radiating from him like an electric current. With a shaky breath, Sarah took a step closer to Ryan's mother. "I know this is unexpected, but I admire Ryan's drive and kindness. He inspires me." The words felt clumsy as they stumbled from her lips, but she said them with conviction. For a moment, the matriarch's steely expression softened, just enough for Sarah to glimpse a glimmer of understanding. "I don't want to waste your time," Sarah pressed on, feeling the need to defend her place in this moment. "I'm not here to take anything away from Ryan or his family. I just care about him." A low murmur swept through the gathered family, and Sarah noted the varying expressions, some intrigued, others skeptical, and a few nodding in silent approval. "Caring is a good start, I suppose," Ryan's mother said, crossing her arms but softening her tone. "But this is a family that values ambition and depth. Show me you have both. What do you do?" A rush of relief washed over Sarah, the matriarch's earlier ferocity replaced by a flicker of curiosity. "I'm an art teacher," Sarah replied, surprised by the warmth that spread within her as she spoke about her passion. "I teach kids. It's inspiring to watch them grow. And I lose myself in the beauty of creativity." The matriarch cocked her head, momentarily taken aback. "An art teacher, huh? You have your work cut out for you molding the young minds of today." Ryan leaned closer, his voice low and encouraging. "Mama's just making sure you're up for the challenge." Sarah smiled at Ryan's reassurance but felt her heart race in response to the matriarch's critical attention. She could sense the room shifting, as if they were all holding their breath, waiting to see how this would unravel. Just then, the sound of a chair scraping against the floor broke the tension. Another family member stood, a much older gentleman, eyes fixed on them, curiosity swirling within his gaze. "Mom, give her a chance," he said, breaking the tension with a sincerity that surprised Sarah. "We've all had our own struggles. If she's good enough for you, Ryan, then she's worth knowing." The matriarch's face remained stoic, but Sarah caught a spark of acknowledgement in her eyes. Hope blossomed in Sarah's chest. But before the moment could deepen into connection, the older man continued, "But if she's to be a part of this family, she's got to be ready for the chaos that comes with it. No half measures." Chaos? The word echoed in Sarah's head, and suddenly, a wave of doubt flooded her senses. Would she be able to withstand whatever trials lay ahead? Ryan's thumb brushed against her hand, grounding her in the reality of the present. "Sometimes chaos is exactly what we need," he whispered, and his warmth wrapped around her like a lifeline. As laughter erupted from a nearby table, Sarah glanced around, absorbing the scene, the bustle, the laughter, and the overwhelming sense of family tied with its complex threads of expectations. But as she turned back to face Ryan's family, she felt a surge of determination ignite within her. She had come this far, and there was no turning back now. "Bring on the chaos," she said, surprising even herself with her boldness. Ryan's mother seemed taken aback, but a flicker of respect crossed her face. With every heartbeat, Sarah felt herself drawing strength from the very core of who she was. Then a sudden commotion erupted near the entrance as another figure walked in. She recognized the elegant silhouette immediately, her heart sinking as the realization hit her. "Ryan, there you are." The voice, bright and unmistakable, belonged to a woman who seemed to be the perfect embodiment of Ryan's world, a world that felt impossibly out of reach. As the newcomer made her way toward them, an unsettling chill threaded through the atmosphere, and Sarah's heart raced. What would this mean for her and Ryan? Already teetering on the edge of something beautiful yet fragile. Would this unexpected visitor change everything? Sarah's breath caught in her throat, and she gripped the edge of the table as the newcomer approached. Her heart drummed a frantic rhythm, matching the anxious pacing in her mind. Who was this woman? She was poised, confident, and dressed in a way that spoke of wealth and privilege, a stark contrast to Sarah's own casual outfit. "Ryan!" The woman sang out, her voice bright yet commanding, as if the room needed her presence. Ryan's expression shifted. It was a mix of surprise and something hinting at unease. "Jess," he replied, standing up and stepping forward to meet her. Sarah felt a pang of jealousy but fought to suppress it. She had no reason to feel threatened, right? Yet the way Jess lit up the room felt like a spotlight shining on all of Sarah's insecurities. Jess's gaze swept over Sarah, widening slightly. "I didn't know you had company tonight," she said, the question hanging between them, tainted with curiosity. "Yeah, this is Sarah," Ryan introduced her. His tone had turned casual, but the slight tension in his shoulders told a different story. "Nice to meet you, Sarah," Jess said, extending a perfectly manicured hand. As they shook hands, Sarah felt the electricity of that moment, a moment she wished she could step back from. "Ryan's told me a bit about you," Jess continued, her smile warm but eyes sharp and assessing. "An art teacher? That's adorable." Ryan cleared his throat. "Actually, we were just having dinner together." "Oh, I want to interrupt," Jess interjected, her voice dripping with lightheartedness that somehow felt forced. "I was just passing through and thought I'd say hi." For a brief moment, Sarah felt like an unwelcome guest at a party she never agreed to attend. She could see the interest in Ryan's eyes as he interacted with Jess, but it wasn't the same look he had turned towards her. "Ryan, I wanted to talk to you about," Jess began before Ryan cut her off. "Can it wait? I'm with Sarah right now." The assertiveness in his voice surprised Sarah, igniting a flicker of hope. Jess hesitated, glancing between them, clearly thrown off. "Sure thing. Just don't make her too special," she quipped, the humor not masking the underlying bite. The laughter and chatter of the restaurant seemed to dim around them. Sarah could feel the eyes of Ryan's family shift toward her, waiting to see how she would respond to Jess. The pressure was dizzying. "Not worried about that," Sarah managed, her voice steadier than she felt. She met Jess's gaze, holding it for a heartbeat longer than necessary. "I don't think I could ever be as special as you." The air around them electrified with tension. Jess's surprise morphed into a vague amusement as she smiled tightly. "Interesting take." Ryan's hand found Sarah's under the table again, his grip tight and reassuring. Hope surged within her once more. Maybe this wasn't about competition. Maybe suddenly, the elder man who had defended Sarah earlier chimed in, trying to lighten the mood. "Why don't we all get acquainted? It's a family dinner after all." He gestured towards the bustling side of the restaurant, attempting to draw attention away from the charged atmosphere. But Jess wasn't done. "It sounds like since Ryan chose art," she smiled at the word like it was a novelty, "we should stick with the theme. I could help you find a gallery to showcase your work, Sarah. Only the best, right?" Ryan stiffened next to Sarah, and Sarah's heart raced. There was something almost patronizing about Jess's offer, as though Sarah didn't quite belong not just in Ryan's world, but in the realm of art. "Sounds generous," Sarah replied, trying to mask her disappointment and the growing sense of inadequacy. "But I'm happy where I am." Ryan's thumb brushed against her palm again, and she took a breath, grounding herself in his support. "Well, aren't you lucky?" Jess let out a small laugh, narrowing her eyes slightly. "Not everyone gets to be comfortable being just an art teacher." The weight of each word fell heavy, and Sarah felt a sting of defiance rise. She was more than enough. More than she had ever been. Before any more could unfold, Ryan chimed in, his voice firm. "Listen, Jess, Sarah's a part of my life now, and I want to focus on that. I appreciate your concern, but let us leave the past in the past." The silence that followed pulsed with unresolved energy, and Sarah felt the collective breaths of Ryan's family holding their hopes in that moment. But as Jess laughed lightly, dismissing his words, Sarah's courage began to waver. How could she stand tall when the world felt like it was tilting against her? What would her future hold in this chaotic mix of emotions and expectations? And could she really weather the storm of Ryan's world? As uncertainty began to drown out her bravado, a sense of foreboding edged into her heart. Little did she know, the real battle was just beginning. What would it take to prove herself worthy of Ryan and of his family? And as another moment of silence stretched, Sarah caught sight of the familiar, vibrant colors of her past flickering in her mind, a time when art had been her savior. Could she find that magic again? The night was far from over, and Sarah felt the weight of a growing challenge on the horizon. Whatever lay ahead, she would face it head-on or drown trying. Sarah stood there, her heart pounding as she faced Ryan's family, and the whirlwind of emotions swirling around them. She felt exposed, every doubt laid bare, every insecurity magnified. Jess's presence loomed large, casting a long shadow over the promise that had sparked between her and Ryan. But as she turned to Ryan, She found his familiar warmth beneath her fingers, grounding her in that tumultuous moment. He looked steady, unwavering, and she couldn't help but draw strength from that. Sarah, Ryan said, his voice low but strong. Just remember why we're here. We can't let anyone dictate our worth. With a determined breath, she squared her shoulders, meeting Jess's gaze with fierce conviction. I'm not just an art teacher. I am someone who believes in the power of creativity to connect people, to build communities. And as much as society may try to label us, that doesn't define our value. The room went quiet, the tension thickening like a palpable fog. Ryan's family exchanged glances, the words hanging in the air before rippling with energy. Sarah could feel every pair of eyes assessing her, curiosity and skepticism colliding around them. Very passionate, Jess said. Her tone a mixture of charm and derision. But passion doesn't fill bellies or pay bills. Maybe not, Ryan interjected, stepping closer to Sarah as if to shield her from Jess's veiled attacks. But it fills hearts. Something you wouldn't understand. Sarah's pulse quickened at his defense, igniting hope that she could withstand this storm too. The truth hung there, begging to be acknowledged. She brought color to the world in ways that merely clinging to wealth never could. Let me make myself clear, Sarah stated, her voice unwavering. I've spent my life fighting for my daughter and my community. I may not have wealth, but I possess resilience and love. Those are the foundations of who I am. A murmur echoed across the family table, surprise blending with admiration. Ryan squeezed her hand tighter, and that connection felt electric, igniting confidence deep within her. The matriarch shifted in her seat, her expression inscrutable. Then slowly she leaned forward. It takes courage to step into this world. We've had our share of challenges too. Her gaze softened, and for the first time, Sarah saw potential acceptance lingering beneath the scrutiny. If you believe you can thrive here, then perhaps I owe you a chance. Even Jess's eyes flickered with surprise, a momentarily disguised grudging respect. Sarah took a breath, heart racing. This was a pivotal moment. Thank you, Sarah breathed, feeling emotion swell inside her. I'm here for Ryan. And I hope to share a life where we can inspire each other. To grow even through chaos. Jess's expression darkened but faded into amusement. Well, best of luck then, she offered. Her voice now a mix of amusement and disdain as she stepped back, as if conceding. With tension slowly dissolving, the conversation shifted slightly. Ryan's family began asking questions, deeper inquiries into her life, her work, and her dreams. Suddenly, Sarah was engaged, revealing pieces of herself she had almost forgotten existed. Excitement bubbled in her chest as she shared stories about her students, the joy of nurturing budding creativity, and the comfort of community in return. Ryan's family opened up too, their stories tinged with warmth, revealing their humanity beneath the facade of privilege. Laughter flowed more freely now, slowly weaving a fragile connection between Sarah and the family. But Jess returned with a flourish, strategically cutting through the moment. Ryan, let us explore what you're up for. The challenge was clear. Yet Ryan simply shook his head. No, Jess. I'm choosing Sarah. I'm done with the expectations. He turned to Sarah, his voice the strongest she had ever heard, wrapped in sincerity. You're everything I want in a partner, someone real. Someone who doesn't hide behind facades. In that moment, with the light of Ryan's steadfastness shining down on her, some of the worries crumbled like glass. Could she really be enough for him, for this family? She felt the warmth of real belonging begin to seep into her heart. Silence wrapped them all as Sarah smiled back at Ryan, her own heart swelling. Maybe she could navigate this new life with him. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. What if chaos is exactly what I need? She teased, a playful glint in her eye. Then let us create our own beautiful chaos, Ryan replied, his smile igniting an infectious joy in her. And just like that, the restaurant seemed to fade, excitement pulsing through her veins. The night brimmed with possibilities. There was life to be lived, love to be discovered, and dreams to be chased. They were no longer just swirling in uncertainty. They were a team, ready to tackle whatever awaited them on the road ahead. As she stood there, faced with Ryan and the sprawling expanse of his family, she realized this was not just an ending, it was a brilliant beginning. Now is the moment to step up and show your support. You need to subscribe now to catch all of our exclusive heartwarming stories. Leave a like now to help us feed the algorithm. Tell me your reactions and feelings about this epic journey in the comments below. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need a dose of this transformation. Let us grow this community together.